So today we're at 45th, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna fail inspection for our interior footings today. Let's get to it. So before I get into some of the reasons why I think we might fail inspection today, I wanna talk about the steps that it takes to get from our top out or our sewer water inspection to the point where we can actually get to our pre-slab and interior footing inspections. And really, in my opinion, all of this scope is and should be completed by our concrete company. The first item is that we have all of our underground plumbing in place, and we have to backfill, tamp the soil, and compact prior to being able to pour our final slab. So what are the 5 key steps to get to this process? The first is going to be tamping and recompacting our dirt layer. The second is going to be spreading our AB and compacting that so that we have a strong base to be able to place our concrete on. The third is going to be exposing any of our areas for turndowns where we have door openings or window openings that go all the way to the ground, so we have a nice clean rolled edge on our concrete detail. The fourth is going to be taking care of any of the excavation and rebar that's needed for our interior footing details. And the fifth is going to be our box out and making sure that all our form boards in place prior to pour. So the first 2 steps are complete. We have our native soil compaction that's already taken place, and we have our 5 inches of AB that's been spread and compacted as needed to be able to place our concrete slab. And as you can see in a few areas throughout the home, we have our turn down slab that's going to be for any exits or full height glass that's going to be associated on the house. So we got a location here, and we'll quickly go around to show you some of the other turn down areas that we have located throughout the home. Right here is our full glass pivot door. We have a full height floor to ceiling glass panels that will be associated in this atrium-like feel where there's a planter box right outside our dining room. It's gonna provide a ton of natural light here in the morning while getting breakfast. And we have some of our turn downs that are located at our exit points for the garage door, our entry to the house, and our exit from our garage out to our side yard. That's necessary for taking any of the trash out on the weekends. So as you can see, there's a fair amount of these transition details that will get a nice finished edge on our concrete. So let's move on from the 3 pieces that are done right and talk about 2 of the items that might cause us to fail today. So as we move on to step 4, we're talking the interior footings and the details that are associated. So we have a few interior footings, and we opted to do these interior footings as a monolithic when we do the slab. A lot of times the interior footings can get in the way of our plumbing details, and they either have to be boxed out, but on the specific structural details on this house, we weren't able to box out the interior footing that I'm going to get to here in a second. But we have a standard spread footing that's located here, as well as another one that's located here for a large column that comes through here for our dining room nook. But as I came out this morning to double check that we were ready for inspection, I noticed that our large interior footing comes in contact with our plumbing line. Now, it's unfortunate, and I think it's interesting because we hear a lot of complaints about how builders can't keep good quality control on their projects. But I will say that this is just a simple error that occurred that probably happened last night when they were digging this footing and they didn't notice that they cracked the pipe. We've since exposed that pipe, and we're gonna have our plumber come out as soon as possible to try to get this repaired prior to inspection. Even if he repairs it, because of the soil moisture and content that's associated here with the puddling, the inspector might still call it out, but unfortunately, due to the puddling that's located right here, the inspector might fail us until he could determine that there is no leak present in this area. So real quick, let's talk about some of the steps that occur that allow us to be able to actually know that there's an issue. Well, one of the things that we have during our sewer inspection is that we have a top out. So at the bullhorn where our cleanouts are at, which we can go show you shortly, we basically cap it and put a plug in there so that we can be able to keep all of our drain lines full of water. And what this really allows is for us to have good quality control, because if there is a crack in the pipe, we're gonna notice it. And in this case, be able to address it before it actually becomes an issue. Now, I will say that in the contracting world, why this is frustrating, it really is just part of construction. The reality is that we have a lot of trades in here that are trying to be able to work around each other, to be able to get the appropriate tasks done for their scope of work. And in this case, our plumber has no problem coming out to take care of this, and we're hoping that we'll see you here in a couple hours before the inspector shows up. So I discussed it earlier with our interior footings. Ultimately, we're not supposed to box this out, so we had planned for our plumbing to go underneath our concrete footing, which, as you can see, is appropriately located. One of the things that we'll do on this pipe is once it's fixed, we'll go ahead and wrap it with foam to make sure that there's no expansion or contraction that occurs that will allow to protect this pipe so that it can be able to drain appropriately as needed for this property. So luckily, we were already gonna have the plumber out here to do their box out and wrap this morning. And some of you might ask, well, why did you call inspection? Well, first and foremost, our concrete pour date is Tuesday, and so we needed to call inspection today. And our concrete company knew it, as well as our on-site construction management team. And sometimes it's necessary to keep the momentum of the project. And due to the fact that we're not sure exactly when the inspector arrived, case in point, the last inspection, they arrived at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We knew that we could gamble a little bit because we'll most likely have about a half day to be able to complete the few minor things that are necessary for us to be able to get this thing ready to pass. So my hope is that when our plumber gets here, he'll be able to not only get these areas addressed, and we'll be able to move forward with our concrete pour that will happen next Tuesday. We hope that you've enjoyed this video, following along, understanding some of the nuances that it takes to get a project moving forward in the right direction. And one of the biggest items that I think it illustrates is what it takes sometimes to be able to keep our projects on track. If you have any questions about slab work or foundation, hit us with a DM. As always, if you like some of the content that we've been providing, hit that subscribe button below. And as always, have a great day.